In a world where magic swirled through the air like a symphony of colors, I was the anomaly, a mere human born into a realm brimming with enchantment and wonder. No single being was quite sure what had happened. Some thought I was cursed. Some thought I was part of an ancient destiny. Either way, from the moment I took my first breath, I knew I was different. Though raised by magical beings who embraced me with open arms, I couldn't help but feel a pull, a yearning to explore the human world that existed parallel to ours. My name is Ilara, and this is my story. Growing up, I reveled in the magical world that surrounded me. I danced with fairies in meadows carpeted with flowers, learned spells from ancient wizards, and listened to the whispers of the ancient trees. Every day was a tapestry of awe and bewilderment, yet an insatiable curiosity gnawed at my heart. I longed to practice the very magic that I saw, how it dazzled me beyond comprehension. It was hard to see the entire world I lived in be able to bend at will to their fingertips and know that I may not ever hold that power. As I grew older, that longing intensified. In an effort to dispel it, I looked towards the human realm. It was not something I had spoken about with many, given that crossing the threshold was considered taboo. If I decided to leave, I couldn't be sure I would ever be welcomed back. At the same time, I knew I couldn't keep letting myself fall into the pit of self-pity for being different. I devoured books about the human realm, mesmerized by their achievements, their triumphs, and their flaws. I yearned to walk among them, to experience their reality firsthand. I wanted to find where I belonged, if I had a place other than here. Perhaps my existence in this magical realm was nothing more than a mistake. One night, beneath a sky illuminated by shimmering stars, I confided in my closest friend, a mischievous sprite named Reese. He'd always been there for me, defending me when the other children called me odd, or when I was stared at in the street. Reese was different too, born with one of his delicate wings bearing an unsettling scar. We never judged each other for what made us different, and instead, it joined us together. So this night, perched on a mossy rock, I shared my deepest desires. "Reese," I began, my voice trembling with a mixture of excitement, unsure of how my friend might respond. "I cannot shake this feeling of not truly belonging here. The human world beckons to me like a melody I cannot ignore. I want to see their cities, feel their passions, and understand what it truly means to be human. You know I love it here. I love the magic and the realm, but to not be able to hold it is some kind of torture." His golden eyes twinkled curiously as he sprung from the rock and twirled in the air. "Ilara, my dear friend, you've always been one to follow your heart. If the human world calls to you, then I shall accompany you on this grand adventure. We'll explore the unknown together." Always one for a show, he was trying to show me in the most grandiose way that he was there for me in my time of need and uncertainty. He settled onto the rock and grasped my hand in his own, the sparkle in his eyes brimming with intensity. "Truly, Ilara, you are not alone." His unwavering support set my heart aflame with determination. Not wanting to wait in the instance of changing my mind, and with Reese by my side, we bid farewell to the magical world that had nurtured and loved me since birth. Promising to return one day, we embarked on a journey to discover the elusive realm of humans. I left a note for the ones I loved, explaining how I longed to know more about who I was and how I came to be. I knew they would understand, having watched me struggle my entire life. Reese hadn't anyone to tell. He had been abandoned as a child and could go where he pleased. Our travels led us through ancient forests, across vast oceans, and beneath towering mountains. Along the way, we encountered fantastical creatures and kind-hearted beings who shared their stories and wisdom. Each encounter added to the kaleidoscope of experiences that shaped my understanding of the world. Not to say there weren't hard times along the way as well. There were times where it was hard to believe I had ever decided to leave this place, my home. Yet every time I saw magic being held within the palms of those around me, it felt like a dagger in my heart. I couldn't understand why I had not been chosen, why I was left to have to go on this journey to begin with. As we approached the threshold between the realms, a blend of fear and exhilaration coursed through me. Stepping into the human world felt like crossing a threshold into the unknown, a world governed by logic and reason rather than magic and whimsy. It was a world that was talked about sparingly, and while I had done my research, I was unsure of what lay ahead. Reese almost seemed even more excited than me, and I had to remind him he must keep his wings tucked. It was one thing for us to be crossing the threshold, it would be another if we exposed the realm in its entirety. I would be lying if I said that I hadn't had my concerns about accidental exposure of the magical realm. In every teaching on the human realm, it was stressed that they only speculate about our kind. I took a deep breath, grabbing Reese's hand as we stepped forward. The threshold felt briefly as though we were swaddled in complete darkness, with bursts of starlight blinding as we passed. It wasn't painful, but the pressure was immense, and I just kept having to push one foot in front of the other, all the while making sure that I never released Reese's hand. All at once we burst to the other side. Standing in a bustling city, I marveled at the dizzying array of this human world. We strolled through busy streets, captivated by the variety of cultures and languages that intertwined harmoniously. The human world was a mosaic of contradictions, a tapestry of beauty and chaos, of dreams and struggles. It was everything I had read about and more. It was as if they had created their own versions of magic, mimicking the tales they had been told of my home. While I was amazed at all these people who looked like me, it didn't yet feel like I had expected. Amidst the vibrancy of this new realm, a pang of homesickness tugged at my heart. I missed the iridescent glow of the magical realm, the gentle hum of enchantments, and the familiar faces that had become family. Reese, ever perceptive, sensed my conflicted emotions. He tugged at my arm as we stopped on the side of the street. "Ilara, remember that your journey is not about choosing one world over the other. It's about embracing the part of you that you have wondered of for so long. You are a bridge between realms, carrying the magic of our world into the human one." I hadn't thought of it that way, that I could bring magic into this world. His words resonated within me, and I wondered how I could even do such a thing. I realized that my purpose wasn't to abandon one world for another, but to weave threads of understanding and connection between them. I would have to find a way to convince both realms of this need for connection, and not just for me, but for us all. I turned to Reese, prepared and armed with this newfound clarity, only for the world around us to freeze. It was as if time itself had stopped moving, and only Reese and I were able to move. Panic started to rise in us both as we spun around, unsure of what to do. One by one, humans started emerging from the crowds, though these were no ordinary humans, that was certain. A voice rang out, deep and gruff. "You have breached the contract set forth over a millennia ago. What have you to say for yourselves?" A human man strode forward, tall with a broad chest and piercing blue eyes. I did my best not to tremble as he looked me up and down. To my surprise, Reese stepped forward. "Eric, this is the human I was telling you about. This is Ilara, bringer of magic."